Can We Talk Y'all podcast where you can have conversation
without moderation.
A 90s feel
that hasn't lost its appeal.
With two girls and a guy
will catch your eye,
but not like that. So get your mind out of the gutter
and let's unclutter what happened this week.
Al, start this damn show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Can We Talk Y'all show. Today in episode 4, we want to ask the question, can we talk about when is a good time to break with extended family traditions? As many of you know, Abreu and I are married, and so this one is for the married couples. This episode is for you. So, when you're dating, and you're learning about whether you want to be with your significant other, I think that you will start to establish some type of traditions, even just as a couple. But then you start to learn each other's family. Christmas comes, and then there's Thanksgiving as well, and there's other holidays on the calendar, and there's special times, even family reunions, when your extended family may get together, and expectations are kind of established real early in the relationship when you're dating. So you want to bring your significant other to the family events. It might be a dinner, it could be a celebration, anything, but you expect that your person is going to be there and be present with you because you're learning to love this person. You love your family, and there's nothing greater in the world than having the two sets of people that you love combined together. So then fast forward, you go on and you marry this person. And at first, when you're a young family, and especially when you start having children, you know, both sides of the family have the expectation that they want to see you when it's time for that family to gather. And so you might even take the time to try to split your time and make sure everybody is happy. All of the family members are happy. They're happy on his side. They're happy on your side. Everybody wants to see you. They want you present. But you have your children as well. And you spend all of that day, that holiday, that special holiday that you like to celebrate. You spend all the day on the road because maybe these two families are not in the same town. They might be across town from each other. So this episode, we're going to kind of take a dive into this. Of course, I have producer Abreu in the studio with me to go back and forth. And let's dive into this topic. And so, Abreu, you know, it was difficult, I think. When you just say, if we want to start at the beginning, relationship-wise, first of all, for a little bit of background context, Abreu and I have mothers and fathers that are not living together. So tell me, Abreu, what was it like when we were getting together on a special holiday when we literally had 4 houses to go to?
Yeah, it was tough. It really was tough. However, we made it work. We made it work for the time because we had small kids and everybody wanted to see the kids. But it became taxing over the years because not only as we love our parents, but we were starting our own traditions with our family as a family unit.
Right.
And so it became taxing. So I think you have to get to the point where you got to be like, hey, our family have to come first. We have to do that. What the scriptures say, you leave your mother and your father and cleave to your spouse. So, and I think we had to make a hard decision. It wasn't easy, and we still, we tried to see parents on the day, but we might not see all 4 of them, unfortunately. Or we
Right.
might say, hey, we gonna see you on Thanksgiving, you two, and then the other 2
We
are gonna be
did.
on Christmas. And we had to kind of break it up, and then eventually we start doing our own thing, and then we saw them either after the holiday or before the holiday.
We did.
So I think you have to put your family first when it comes to at a certain point in life. When the kids are young, you just running and y'all young, but as you get older, you get tired and the kids get older, and you just want to start cooking. Like you want to cook. You want to cook your family meal. So you know what I mean? So I think that's one. Go ahead.
So I do want to kind of talk about the first stage of it, the first stage of the break that we took. When we were in our relationship, of course, we're not married yet. We're trying to satisfy every single side of the family. And, it becomes a little bit difficult. But later in the marriage, we just decided, man, it's just like running back and forth because we're on opposite sides of the city. Yeah, it felt like the state, right? but you got to pass through Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, and all its traffic issues and woes. You got to get past that in order to be able to see just the mothers. We had to do that just to see the mothers. And so I think the very first step we established is, hey, you know what? We can't see everybody on the day, on the special day. We just can't make that work. So we did establish a rotational system, like Abreu mentioned, where, Thanksgiving would be with one set of parents, and then the other, like Christmas, might be a different set of parents. And we tried to share, all of that. But even then, let's remember back to then, because even then it became taxing because you were always running on the holiday.
You were.
We split it up and we tried to be equal. I think we even tried at one point to invite both sides to a Thanksgiving celebration that we might have had. Mm-hmm. So we did that one year, and that can help alleviate the pain because at least you don't have to travel. Your families are traveling to you. And if they're like my family, they're just like, they don't want to cook. So they're like, hey, we coming to wherever you are. Yeah. So they didn't mind doing the traveling if that meant they didn't have any responsibility of cooking. So I do remember us going through that phase. Did you feel at that time that was a little bit better of a solution?
I did. It was tough. And looking back on it, we survived it. We did our thing. Both families are in a healthy place. Mm-hmm. Still to this day, neither one of them felt neglected. If they did, they didn't vocalize it. You know what I mean? They didn't say it. So it was taxing, but at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, you have to come to a point where you got to be like, you know what? Hey, this is my wife. These are my kids. We got to start our own traditions. We got to have, because eventually I'm going to want my kids to come here.
Right.
But so I knew how my parents and all 4 parents, how they felt. Mm-hmm. But I knew eventually I'm going to want, like our kids are grown now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're grown. So we're going to want them to celebrate with us on certain days of the year. You know what I mean? Until they start their family. And then when they do break away, we're going to be like, well, we understand. You know what I mean? Right. So, but it was tough. And you just have to draw that line and say, like, Mom, Dad, I love y'all, but I got to start my own. I have my own wife. I have my own kids. I have my own traditions. So.
You're right. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the second stage we started establishing our own traditions. And so then we started to stay at home some of those holidays. So not just go from your side to my side, but we threw our own side into that rotation. And then I can remember, then that's when the extended family members are like, hey, we didn't see you for the last 2 holidays. And you start to recognize that you're missing for them family photos, you know? And that was, I think, my biggest thing, is like looking back at some of the photos that either we put in a slideshow for some occasion or another, or people just sharing memories in our family group text message, and you're like, dang, I'm not even there. So it causes you to feel a little bit like, man, but then you have your own memories and you have your own things in your own phone where you have your children. So that's an important stage as well. And then the kids grow up.
They grow up.
And they got their friends to include.
That's true.
So let's talk a little bit about that stage, you know.
Well, being pre-empty nesters, because that's what I call us, pre-empty nesters, it's man, there always been kids in the house, you know what I mean? So I don't know how it gonna be when they gone, because now they doing it, you know, like when we just sit here and the kids are gone, they go on their friends, they're working, they're in college, and we have more time to spend with each other now, which it helped us to build our back end relationship, you know what I mean? But it's different. It's different to be like, we got all Saturday, just me and you. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? So you know, it's different. So now I'm looking at it like, now we asking them, hey, bring your friends over. We doing what our parents did to us.
You're right.
Yeah.
So you become the grandparents, basically setting up to be the grandparents eventually. Although we are not yet at that stage, and we're not expecting to for our listeners.
Time soon.
But yeah, it is another phase. It's a realistic phase when your kids have their own social lives at stake. You know, they start to date other people. They're trying to do the thing that you were doing when you were dating your spouse. And so they're trying to give time to yet another group of people. I think one good idea is to try to make it to the family reunions. You know what I mean? So, because you're going to have your traditional holidays, whatever you might celebrate. You're going to have your traditional things where you either, you know, you're doing the thing at home. But then, you know, if you participate in the family reunions, then maybe, you know, it's not necessarily tied to a holiday. It could or it could not. But let's talk about that, Avery, because we had series of family reunions that landed on the same date that complicated this matter for us.
That was difficult. It happened like 2 years in a row. You know, black folk in July 4th. For some reason, we had to have it on July 4th every time. And so both families was having it, and it complicated where we going to go and who we going to go. And you love your family. I love my family. I want to be there. You want to be there. And we got through it. I don't think we had any riff about it. We negotiated, but it could blow up if you're not compromising state of mind to say, hey, all right, let's do this on your side this year, but next year we got to do mine.
But not only that, you know, we each love our own individual families, but now we've got a solid decade or more in each other's family. So we're loving each other's family too. So I think that maybe helps with the ability to compromise, because like as Abram said, like when we landed on two families having a family reunion at exactly the same weekend, one family maybe they were just doing like a day's celebration and the other family was doing a 3-day. So, you know, in those situations, maybe you can make both. You know, I think we just kind of compromised and we heard each other, and maybe one year we went to one and then another year we switched. So we tried to keep it to where all the love and all the extended family members felt the love. And it had its challenges, but, you know, we did get through it by being compassionate about each other and being equally as excited to see the other person's family as your own. Yeah,
and support each other. You know, we did many. I can recall looking over the last 7-8 years, not as of late, but just go back about 10 years ago, and we did many turnaround trips. We drive 2-3 hours.
We did.
Spend time with them and then drive 2-3 hours back home because we had to be somewhere else. So we have done many trips. So it's a sacrifice. But now I'm older. I don't know how much turnaround I'm going to be doing now. So now, like I said, I became the parents because I want my kids to come and spend that time with me. You know? You know what I mean?
But not only that, unfortunately, we lost our grandparents.
We did.
You know, we both lost a grandmother that was key. And so, you know, we spent time with both grandparents and they're no longer here. So it changes the dynamics of how we spend time with extended family members. And now maybe we're maybe a little bit more selfish and well, not necessarily selfish in a bad way, but selfish in a good way, that we'll just stay home at this time that we would have been traveling. And remember, you know, tell some stories about grandma on each side and laugh about it. And then, you know, just try to instill within our kids that, we really want our kids to come see us. And I know generations are changing, and sometimes I feel like the generations and how close they are to their parents and grandparents is not the same as, you know, when you and I were kids.
Exactly.
You know, they may be, of course they love the grandparent, but they may be not as close to them as like we had to spend time because there was no phones and there was no distractions of the internet and so on and so forth. So, you know, we're growing in our age and we're maturing and we're going into a different phase. And it's just, I think, the cycle of life. Like these changes will continue throughout the relationship.
Yeah, they will. And so, you know, we just have to, like you say, and I've said this several times on this show, you have to put your family first at a certain point in life. And because you have to leave your mother and father and cleave to your spouse. And that's how you start your traditions and you break away from your family traditions. So with that, I'll let you get ready to close it out.
Yeah. And so when is a good time to break with these extended family traditions? I wouldn't say that there's a perfect time. I would say that you have to at least compromise with your significant other and in your relationship and share the love. Be excited about the other person's family as you are about your own. Let's be fair. And I think that each family may have to define it differently because your dynamics may be differently. You maybe don't have children and maybe you can travel, or maybe your extended family is on the East Coast and the other ones are on the West Coast. So it's going to look a little bit different. So there's no perfect answer, but as my husband said, it's most important the core unit of the marriage, and you should establish your own traditions and you should just share the love. So with that, we are done with this episode. We will see you next time.